Conjuring House, a true story of terror and survival. Nestled in the quiet farmlands of Harrisville, Rhode Island, stands a weathered colonial farmhouse built in 1736. To an outsider, it may seem like any old New England home, with its creaking wooden floors and rustic charm. But those who've lived within its walls or dared to stay the night tell a different story. Known to many as the Conjuring House, this property has become one of the most infamous haunted houses in the world, a place where centuries of death, legend, and unexplained events seem embedded in its very foundation. For the Perron family, who moved in during the winter of 1971, it was supposed to be a peaceful escape. Instead, it became a battleground between the living and the dead. This is their story, a story of true horror, of a family torn between disbelief and survival, and of the malevolent spirit believed to be a witch who cursed the land with her dying breath. But be warned, once you learn the secrets of the Conjuring House, you may never sleep soundly again. Long before the Perrons arrived, the Old Arnold estate had already seen tragedy. Built nearly 2 centuries before the American Civil War, the farmhouse sat on a sprawling 200-acre lot and passed through generations of families, many of whom met untimely deaths. Suicide, drownings, and mysterious illnesses marked its history. Local legends point to one figure above all, Bathsheba Sherman. Bathsheba lived in the mid-1800s on a neighboring farm and was widely rumored to have practiced witchcraft. According to town gossip, she was responsible for the death of an infant in her care, found with a sewing needle driven through its skull. Though there was no legal conviction, the community turned on her. Some said she made a pact with the devil, sacrificing her child for eternal youth. Others claimed her touch could kill crops and livestock. Bathsheba died in 1885, reportedly under grotesque circumstances. Some whispered her face had turned to stone. From that moment, her name was etched into the lore of the land, forever tied to the dark energy of the house. Multiple deaths followed over the decades. Children who drowned in the nearby brook, women who hung themselves in the attic, and men crushed by equipment in the fields. The Perrons, unaware of this grim history, were simply looking for a quiet place to raise their 5 daughters. They moved in with hope. They would come to regret it. January 1971, Roger and Carolyn Perron purchased the house and moved in with their daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April. According to Andrea Perron, the first signs were subtle. It started small, she recalled years later. A broom would go missing and be found in another room. The girls heard faint giggles at night. Doors opened on their own. Carolyn would find dirt piles in the middle of the freshly cleaned kitchen. But the house escalated quickly. Christine woke up one night screaming, saying a figure had pulled at her legs. Cindy began sleepwalking and whispering about 7 dead soldiers in the walls. April talked to an invisible boy named Oliver, who watched her from the closet. Andrea's bed would shake violently at night, yet no one else would see it move. The most affected was Carolyn, the mother. She started feeling drained, bruises appeared on her body without cause, and she often said she felt someone piercing her skin. At night, she would hear whispers, chanting, and the name Bathsheba. One evening, Carolyn researched the home's history and came upon the story of Bathsheba Sherman. She was struck by the similarities: the baby's murder, the accusations, the devil. Could this spirit be tormenting her family? Desperate for help, Carolyn contacted paranormal investigators at Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed and Lorraine Warren, renowned demonologist and psychic medium, arrived at the Perron house in 1973. Lorraine claimed she immediately sensed a dark presence. "There is a spirit here that wants to claim your soul," she told Carolyn. The Warrens believed Bathsheba's spirit had latched onto Carolyn and saw her as a threat to the house. They conducted multiple investigations, documenting cold spots, sudden foul smells, and objects moving on their own. Lorraine also sensed multiple spirits in the house, some benign, others violent. To rid the home of its evil, the Warrens organized a seance, not an exorcism. It was held in the basement, where activity was most intense. During the seance, Carolyn reportedly became possessed. Andrea, who secretly watched from another room, said her mother's body contorted unnaturally, and she spoke in a guttural, inhuman voice. She was thrown across the room, and chaos broke out. Roger Perron, furious and terrified, ended the seance. He blamed the Warrens for making things worse and barred them from returning. The family had no money to move and continued living in the house for years. But the activity slowly faded. Never gone, just dormant. I was 12 when we moved into the farmhouse. I remember the first time I saw it. Snow-covered, silent, beautiful. It looked like it had stood the test of time. I had no idea it would test us instead. And Andrea Perron would later write books about her experiences, but some memories never made it to the page, until now. I remember waking up one night to a sound like someone breathing right next to me. I turned over and there was a woman. Her face was broken like her jaw had been shattered. She didn't speak. She just stared at me. Then she was gone. She remembers her mother changing, becoming cold, distant, as if something were draining her life force. One night, Carolyn stood in front of the fireplace and whispered, "She doesn't want me here. She says this is her house." Andrea also remembered the worst night of her life. The seance. We weren't supposed to be there, but I snuck in with Nancy. Mom was sitting at a table holding hands with Lorraine and Ed and a priest. Everything was calm until it wasn't. Her head snapped back and she screamed so loudly I thought the glass would shatter. Her chair lifted off the floor and she spoke in a voice I didn't recognize. It wasn't her. It was Bathsheba. When she was thrown back into the wall, I ran. I didn't stop. I just ran outside into the cold night. I knew then we were never going to be the same. Andrea says the house never fully released them. Even after they left years later, the memories stayed. That house feeds on emotion. It remembers. And if you listen closely, it's still whispering. The Perron family remained in the house until 1980, nearly a decade after they first moved in. Financially unable to leave, they endured the hauntings until the activity gradually declined. Eventually, they sold the home and never looked back. Decades later, the house still draws attention. In 2013, the Conjuring film brought their story to a global audience. Though dramatized, it reignited interest in the real case. Tourists, ghost hunters, and skeptics all came to see the infamous farmhouse. Some left with photos, others left with scratches or stories of their own. In 2019, the house was sold to paranormal investigators who now offer overnight stays and live-streamed ghost hunts. Many visitors claim they've experienced the same things the Perrons did: cold spots, phantom voices, moving objects, and the presence of something watching. To this day, Bathsheba's name is spoken with caution. Lorraine Warren passed away in 2019. Her files on the Conjuring case remain locked away, marked with a warning, "Do not disturb." Conclusion: the house remembers. The Conjuring House is not just a building. It is a vessel of pain, memory, and unresolved spirits. Whether you believe the Perrons or not, the evidence, the history, and the witnesses cannot be ignored. Because in Harrisville, Rhode Island, there stands a house where the past refuses to die. A house where spirits still whisper. A house that remembers, and it waits for the next soul to enter.